Whatever the criticisms one might level against Abraham on account of his conduct in this week's portion, indifference is not one of them. We might condemn the patriarch for passing off his wife Sarah as his sister to save his own skin. We would certainly slate him for heeding Sarah and God's demand to banish both Sarah's maidservant Hagar and Ishmael, the son she has had with Abraham, sending them into the desert, although the Torah does admit that it grieved Abraham greatly. And if the loss, so to speak, of one son were not enough, his silent obedience to God's test to offer up Isaac as a sacrifice on Mount Moriah reveals more about the complexities and conflicts of family life and his relationship with God than anything else. On the other hand, Abraham's place in the world, the awareness of his responsibility to humankind, is very clear. As the Torah portion opens, he offers generous hospitality to 3 visitors, as he sees them, who visit him and Sarah with the news that they will have a child despite their old age. He argues vehemently with God to save the righteous in the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, about to be destroyed by God because of their wickedness. He is not indifferent to the plight of Hagar and Ishmael, taking them himself into the desert with food and water. And when the king, Avimelech, discovers Abraham's trickery in passing off Sarah as his sister, he prays on behalf of the monarch and his courtiers to heal them from the diseases with which they have all been afflicted. Thinking about Abraham, and particularly the persistence of his argument with God over this destruction of the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, where he is unafraid to challenge God, made me think about the anniversary we will be commemorating tomorrow in our service, Kristallnacht. Abraham asks God, "Will you sweep the innocent in the city along with the wicked? What if there are 50 innocent in the city? Will you indeed sweep away the whole place? What if there are 45 innocent, or 40, or 30, or 20, or 10? Far be it from you," says Abraham to God. "Shall not the judge of all the earth do justly?" He is bold, audacious, willing to put God on trial and test God's justice. There is no silence here, no cold, apathetic indifference, but the human yearning to see goodness rewarded and wickedness punished, even in the knowledge that life just doesn't work like that. Kristallnacht, or the November pogrom, as it has come to be known, was a night of Nazi mob frenzy in which Jewish businesses and homes were ransacked and looted, glass windows of shops in cities throughout Germany, Austria, and in the Sudetenland of Czechoslovakia shattered, over 1,200 synagogues desecrated, many of them burnt, approximately 90 people killed, and over 25,000 Jewish men arrested and deported to Dachau, Buchenwald, and Sachsenhausen, leading to the deaths of hundreds more in the camps. Archives and reports dating back to 1938 and before and after the pogrom reveal the desperation of many Jewish families and individuals attempting to find a way to leave Germany and Austria and escape the persecution and terror. Legislation had robbed the Jewish community of their possessions. It became almost impossible to emigrate when a percentage of their wealth was confiscated. Taxation removed freedom of movement, but at the same time made it financially impossible for them to remain in their homes. The following is a letter by a 17-year-old boy to the Kinderkomitee in Amsterdam, the Children's Committee, written on the 15th of December, 1938. And I quote, "I would like to describe our situation very briefly to you. Due to the events of the last weeks, we are utterly destitute. Neither my parents nor one of our siblings has even the smallest possibility of earning, and we are a family of 7. Can you imagine what our future looks like? In all this, there might be one hope that could make our desperate situation bearable. Hope of emigration, but that too is not in the least available. We are given notice to be out of our home as of the 31st of January, 1939. All our efforts to find a new home have been in vain, and it is scarcely 7 weeks until the 31st. But that is not the worst. My father was taken into Schutzhaft, that was imprisonment without a judicial warrant or trial, 5 weeks ago. Yet this still did not seem to satisfy cruel fate. Another crushing blow hit us. The upsetting events of late caused my mother to have a serious nervous breakdown. If you wish, I can send a medical certificate regarding that. Can you understand that despite what you have written, we desperately clutch at you to obtain your help? From this, can you conceive what emotions these crude facts must awaken in the souls of small, innocent children? Do you understand now that in this case it is really a duty to help? In the name of my parents and of my siblings, and in my name, I imploringly ask only one thing: help." This is just one letter of many in which families articulate their despondency and desperation to get out of Germany or Austria. And the responses are negligible. Even before Kristallnacht in July 1938, 32 countries met in Evian, France, for a conference on the refugee crisis. While the delegates expressed sympathy for the plight of the Jews who were seeking to flee Nazi persecution, most countries refused to admit more refugees. The strongest moral expression against indifference is found at the very center of the Torah, in the Holiness Code, in the verse, "Lo ta'amod al dam re'echa." Do not stand idly by the blood of your fellow human being, Leviticus 19, verse 16. And it's understood to mean that we have a moral obligation to intervene if someone's life or well-being is in danger. In the Talmud, we are taught, Kol Yisrael Aravim Zeh Bazeh. All Israel is responsible for each other. And as liberal Jews, this principle extends beyond the Jewish community. It's a call to communal and social responsibility. As part of humanity, we share in each other's suffering and share responsibility for each other's welfare. The prophets, too, addressing this subject, condemn silence and all who ignore injustice or oppression. In the words of Isaiah, Cease to do evil, learn to do good, devote yourselves to justice, aid the wronged, uphold the rights of the orphan, defend the cause of the widow. How can we translate these teachings into action? How do we take a statement like Hillel's, "If I am only for myself, what am I?" and embody it in our daily lives? Although the November pogrom recedes into the past, and there are fewer witnesses to testify to the cruelty and violence of that night and the hopelessness it created, our commemoration and remembrance remind us that the world's indifference during the Shoah was a stark moral failure and a warning for future generations. To be Jewish is to be morally engaged, however difficult, whatever courage is required of us. The texts of Torah and Talmud and other texts throughout our history, as well as our history itself, teach us to be an active bystander, in the words of a new campaign launched by Transport for London in just the last month, in October. And I saw the advertisement on the tube as I came back from Heathrow on Wednesday. It urges everyone to be watchful for harassment and victimization and to act like a friend if we see someone experience hate crime, sexual offenses, and harassment on the transport network. This is how we can translate those teachings of Torah into our daily life in small acts of engagement, concern, conversation, and friendship. It is what Abraham did when he addressed God at Sodom and Gomorrah. "Don't be angry," he said. "Let me speak up one last time. What if 10 innocent people are to be found in the cities?" Perhaps it was through this conversation, this challenge, that Abraham's nephew Lot and his family were rescued from the destruction of the cities. One day, perhaps, it will be us, in a small way, being rescued or rescuing someone else from harassment or victimization and turning their fear and anguish into thankfulness and hope.